Fire has always feared the written word. Every empire that ruled with silence eventually met a library that refused to die. You can burn paper, but you can't burn an idea. And through centuries of flames, 11 books kept whispering, still alive, still dangerous, still divine. This is Sethtra Books, and today we walk through the ashes of history to find the words the world tried to erase, the hidden gems that refused to stay silent. Long before Europe's printing presses, a Chinese emperor sought to erase the past. In 213 BC, Emperor Qin Shi Huang ordered all Confucian texts burned. He feared that old philosophy would challenge his new power. Scrolls vanished, and scholars were buried. Yet bamboo slips survived in secret cellars. 2,000 years later, the Analects of Confucius still teaches virtue, balance, and humanity. The dynasty collapsed, the wisdom remained. Across India's northern plains, monks carried palm leaf manuscripts wrapped in cloth. Invaders burned monasteries at Nalanda, where Buddhist sutras once filled 9 stories of shelves. The flames lasted for months, and the smoke darkened the sky. But travelers carried fragments along the Silk Road. From those ashes, the Dhammapada spread across Asia, a reminder that compassion moves faster than conquest. In the deserts of the Middle East, another book faced the torch of time, the Qur'an. When early tribes warred, many who had memorized its verses died, and scholars feared the revelation would vanish. Caliph Uthman gathered all recitations into one written form. Copies were standardized, preserving unity through ink. Centuries of politics tried to divide it, yet every generation rewrote it from memory. Faith survived by heart when paper could not. Europe, meanwhile, faced its own inferno. In 1242, in the streets of Paris, cartloads of Jewish manuscripts, the Talmud, were thrown into flames by royal order. Thousands of pages burned while scholars wept. But fragments traveled east, copied in candlelight by exiled students. Today, those same words are studied openly in universities and synagogues. The fire turned parchment to ash, but transformed silence into dialogue. Then came The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. He dared to place popes in hell and peasants in paradise. The church called it dangerous. Copies were hidden, exiled along with the poet himself. Yet the poem outlived the politics that feared it. It became the moral map for all of Europe, proof that imagination can judge even heaven. When Galileo Galilei looked through his telescope, his book, Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems, showed that Earth was not the center of creation. The Inquisition banned it. Galileo was silenced, forced to whisper, "And yet it moves." Centuries later, the Vatican honored him. The sky never revolved around us again. In the 20th century, the flames returned, wearing modern uniforms. Nazi Germany staged public bonfires across Berlin, burning anything un-German. Among the piles was Erich Maria Remarque's All Quiet on the Western Front. It told the truth about war, mud, blood, and futility. Soldiers hid copies in their boots and trenches. The book survived every censorship because reality cannot be banned. Another banned manuscript crossed the Soviet border on onion skin pages, Boris Pasternak's Dr. Zhivago. The novel spoke of love and conscience during a revolution. The regime called it betrayal. Western presses called it art. It won the Nobel Prize, smuggled back into Russia as poetry disguised in prayer. Words became refugees that returned home victorious. In 1949, George Orwell released 1984. It described a world where language itself was controlled. Censors from both the East and West condemned it for opposite reasons. It was too close to everyone's truth. They banned it in dictatorships, edited it in democracies, and yet the phrase "Big Brother" entered every language. The attempt to erase it only proved its prophecy. In India, a modern storm erupted around Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses. Nations banned it. Protests demanded silence. But beyond the controversy lay a question older than religion. Can imagination coexist with belief? The uproar made it a global mirror, reflecting fear, faith, and freedom in one glare of firelight. Across America, The Catcher in the Rye. by J.D. Salinger faced school bans for its language and themes of alienation. Teachers feared it would corrupt the youth. Instead, it gave them honesty. Holden Caulfield became the voice of confusion the world pretended not to hear. When you hide pain, literature finds another teenager to speak it. And then, in a moment of poetic irony, came a book about burning books, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. Written during the Cold War, it imagined firefighters who ignite libraries instead of saving them. Governments censored it for its political messages, schools edited its language. But every act of censorship proved its message true, that when knowledge disappears, society forgets how to feel. 11 books, 11 flames, one truth. You can imprison an author, but you cannot chain curiosity. Every page burned has become a lantern for the next century. Confucius taught ethics through silence. The Buddha spread peace through exile. The Qur'an unified memory through voice. The Talmud preserved argument as devotion. Dante wrote judgment into poetry. Galileo etched science into faith. Remarque turned horror into empathy. Pasternak wrapped rebellion in romance. Orwell warned the free about fear. Rushdie blended myth with modern identity. And Bradbury turned censorship itself into art. Together, they form humanity's secret library, a reminder that destruction often becomes preservation. Look around today. The bonfires are digital. The new censorship is distraction, not decree. We delete with indifference instead of flame. But every time a reader opens an old book, a banned thought breathes again. So if you hold a copy the world once feared, remember, you are holding history's heartbeat. Because the ink that survived the fire has already proven its worth. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey through history meaningful, please like this video and subscribe to Sethtra Books for more stories about the words that shape our world. We'll see you next time.